Okay, so everyone, welcome to the Python Day 4 Bootcamp. Today we will be talking about object oriented programming in Python, that is OOPS. So, today let me tell you what object oriented basically means. So, guys, do you have any idea what object oriented means? The two terms object oriented, what do they mean? Do you have any idea?
I can try, but I'm not sure. Object oriented
Yeah,
is
yeah. Please
that
go ahead.
making a code into by breaking it into smaller forms and
Okay.
doing it.
So yeah, let me tell you what object oriented means. So you are talking about modularizing the code, right? You are meaning that you are making parts of the code and so that it's reusable. That's for the modularity of the code. We break it into parts. But object oriented means focusing on objects. So what are objects here? So let me give you an example. Okay, first, suppose a switchboard. In a switchboard, we have many switches. We move around and click with the switches to switch on a fan or light. We switch it off. Then we just click the switches, right? We don't do the connections with our own hands. We don't use the wires or connections, or we don't think about what is happening in the background. We just directly switch on or off the fan or light. Similarly, in object orientation, whenever we are talking about object orientation, we are actually focusing on the just on the object. That is the main focus is on the object. That is on the switches and not on the background. Similarly, so you might be wondering why am I giving an example of switchboards and switches? Because it's not relevant to Python definitely. So why is that? That is because suppose if we are coding something and our codes need to be modified, right? Suppose we have something and we want to modify it, but if our code gets very difficult to understand, like the connections of wiring and all, then it will be really hard to modify and work on. So that's why we need object oriented programming to make our codes really easier to read and really easier to manage basically, so that we can work on it. So I just gave you an insight on what basically object oriented programming means. So this was the basic insight. So let's move on to how to achieve object oriented programming in Python. So a class and objects is what we use to achieve this. So this is the basic definition of a class. So guys, do you have any idea what I mean by this sentence? A class is a blueprint for creating objects. So anyone, do you have any suggestions? What do you feel like? What do you think about this statement? Guys, please, I would really like you to unmute your mic and speak up for the
Blueprint
session.
is blueprint is like something like a skeleton or something. The body actually, the rough sketch.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
The
like an
rough.
idea about how the object will actually be.
Yes, yes, yes. Exactly. The class is just like that. So think about a class register or a class like we are in college, right? So we have our databases where every student has a name, a roll number, a admission number, something. So these are actually called attributes, right? The name, the roll number, the admission number. These are called the attributes. So in a class register or in a class database, we have these attributes stored, that is actually making the blueprint or the skeleton, as someone said. So it's actually making the skeleton and the template. Mainly I would like to point out it's a template for creating objects, that means for adding students in a class. So whenever we will add a student, we will give him or her a roll number, a name, just like that. In Python programming, we have a class and objects relatively, just like I told you how the class register and students work. So this is the basic definition of what a class and objects are. So now I will be coding today with you on the Google Colab. So I hope you are on your editors right now. It can be anything, whatever you feel like. So today I will be using the Google Colab. It's an online editor. You can just type Google Colab in Google search, and the very first link will get you
Excuse
in
me,
there.
can I one question?
Yeah, sure.
Google means I to do that Python programming, which will be the better? I am currently using PyCharm.
Yeah, exactly. So I just thought of using a different editor today because I wanted to give a different experience to everyone. PyCharm is an offline editor and Colab is an online editor. If you have a good internet connection, then you can use Colab too. And PyCharm is for offline. If you don't have internet connection that well, then or and one more thing, if some things like GUI and some things don't work on Google Colab, but all those things run on PyCharm. So you can use PyCharm if you want for now. Will that be okay? Did I clear it out?
Yeah, I have got clear.
Okay. So today you'll be using PyCharm and I'm doing on Google Colab. So that's fine. Okay. So let's talk about how to create a class and its objects. Okay. So let me create a class named, suppose, student. I am creating a class named student. For that, I need to mention the first keyword, that is class. Then I have to mention this class name. This can be any valid identifier name. It can be any variable name, valid variable name. So student, and then I put a colon. So this is the very first line of class definition. After that, you can see there is an indentation here, a tab basically in your PyCharm or other editors. So this from this indentation part here, from here we will actually define our class body. So this was the very first line of class definition. From here we will start defining our class body. Now inside a class body we will have basically two things. A class has two types of components inside it. One is attributes, and the second type of component is class methods. So now what are attributes? Attributes are, just like I told you, attributes can be any property of the class. That means it can be, suppose, a name, a roll number, admission number, birth date of, or anything like that. So these are called attributes, and functions inside the class are called class methods. So now we will be actually using a class method, that is def init this. So I have, as you can see, I have written here double underscores, then init, then again double underscores. So what is this? I know this might sound seem some bit scary, but it's not scary at all. Just bear with me. This is actually a really special function. So as you know, on the last class, we all talked about the functions, right? Nivedita told you about functions, and you know how regular functions work. But these things are this init function is a very special function. Why is why is it a special function? I will be coming back to it in a few moments. So inside the parentheses, while I'm defining the init function, I will give it a self parameter. Then no, actually it's not an inbuilt function. It's actually like a constructor. Like if you are familiar with C++, it will actually get called automatically. Yeah, it's we are defining it. Okay, so you got it. So we will first give the self parameter. I will be coming back to the self parameter as well in a few moments. Next, suppose I wanted to have a name and a roll number. Okay, so this is our class definition. This is our class definition. Now here we have the init function, and inside the parentheses we have the parameters. Now these parameters will actually take the values from when we will create an object. Okay, these parameters will take up values when we will create an object of the class student. Now inside the init function I will do self dot name. So I need you to see the difference between this and this name. They both have This one has an uppercase N and this one has a lowercase n. Okay, so these are different. This is an identifier while this is an attribute. So this is an attribute and this is an identifier. So now self dot name I will do equals to name, and again on the next line I will do self dot role equals to role. So as you can see, I am doing here something. Okay, I am just using the self keyword, a dot, and then some attributes, and then I'm assigning it with the values. So now let me create an object. Suppose I'm creating an object student1. So how will the student1 be an object? I will have to assign it with the student with parentheses, and inside parentheses I need it to have to give a name inside it. Okay, so suppose I'll give it ABC. ABC is the name and the roll number is 1.
Excuse me.
So yeah,
That you have written self dot name is equals to name.
yeah,
That we have already get the value in the capital N name, na? Then why we give the another that
yeah,
variable?
exactly. I'm coming to that. Why are we doing? You are asking why are we assigning it again while we are
Yeah,
pushing it into that, right? Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah.
let me get to that part. So now we have created an object. So now let me tell you what the init function, how the init function works. So here student ABC with the roll number 1. So we are actually pushing ABC into the variable name and 1 to the variable roll number, that is roll. Okay. So now the init function is automatically called when we call this. When we write this line of code, it will be automatically calling the init function and these values will be pushed. But just remember that a class has many objects, right? So if we directly pass it, how will the interpreter know that which object's name is it? So for that, we have to use a self keyword. Okay, like अगर हम लोग दो तीन ऑब्जेक्ट बना रहे हैं तो इंटरप्रेटर को समझाना पड़ेगा कि कौन से ऑब्जेक्ट का नेम एंड रोल नंबर है वो. सो दैट्स व्हाई वी आर यूजिंग द सेल्फ कीवर्ड. तो एज यू सेड दैट why are we not directly pushing it into the object, because this is a template and this is not a specific class, or the student class is a template. This is a template, this is not specific. So even if we push something, even if we push the values here, how will the interpreter save it for the student 1? So for saving this data in student 1's attribute, we will have to use a thing called the self keyword or the self parameter. So is it now clear? What I was trying to say is, this init function will actually initialize student 1's data as ABC and 1. But as you said, if we directly push it into the parameters, then what will happen? It will not get saved in for this. It will just get pushed just as a regular function. It will not be saved into this student 1's data. So is it clear now?
One
Or
more
do you,
doubt.
yeah, sure.
That init function, okay, I get it. But when you are
Yeah.
passing the value, that student A, B, C, and if
Yes.
we have another modules in the student class student
Yeah.
with the same only two variables, name or let it be something else that is also in the number only. Then
Okay.
if we'll be passing the value, then how they will interpreter will get the where we are
Okay.
passing.
You're saying if I do this, right? And
No,
another something ASD. Suppose you are saying this, how will we push it into the function?
no. If you have another modules in the class student, just
You are
imagine
saying
that.
I am having another function.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, exactly. So that's what I said. Now this is like
And
a
if
constructor. This is a special function. So this is automatically called when we are creating the object.
No, if
So
both
this,
have the same number of variables, then
no, this is an init function. That's why this name, the init, this is the initializing function. This will only act when we create the object.
okay.
Okay, you got it. So suppose you have another function called, suppose x, and you will pass the self parameter here, and you do something here. So if I do student1 dot x, so whenever I call it, then only it will be called. This function will be called when I call it, like that. But this, the init function, is automatically called. So this is the
And
initializing function.
Yeah, now
Yeah,
get it.
yeah,
can
yeah,
you
yeah.
say the difference between both names, small letter
Both.
and
Yeah, okay.
name?
Yeah, I was coming to that. So let me just remove this. So this name is is a variable name. Okay. So this name is a variable name, just like we have now. Suppose name equals to what, ASDF. Suppose, so this will be a string, right? So this is a variable, na. This is an identifier. Like it can have any string. So now this stores some value. The name, this name stores some value, stores some string as a name. So now whenever we push a string into name with the capital N, whenever we push ABC into name, it will actually have the value ABC as string here. So what we are doing with the self keyword here. So now whenever we are working with multiple objects, the interpreter will get confused. The class will not be able to point to the current object. For that, we need the self keyword. The self keyword will actually point to the current object whenever we are initializing it. Whenever we are initializing it, the self keyword will point to the current object. So self points to student1. So this is how we do it, self dot name. So now, as you were asking the difference between name and this name, so this is a variable that stores, this is a parameter name. Okay, this is a parameter name, and this is an attribute. So this has the value of ABC as string, and this is actually the attribute. This is not anything but an attribute. Like this is the property of the class student. Like just like I said, okay, which one is attribute? Okay, this one, self dot name, because we are pointing student one's name. Now you get it. Student
Yeah.
one's name,
Hmm.
this is the attribute, and
Go
this
ahead,
is
go
the,
ahead.
okay. So this is how we use the self keyword. And yeah, so this is how we use the self keyword, and this is the init function. Okay, so I told you how to create a class and an object. We can have multiple objects just like this. And yeah, you can, just like this, you can have multiple parameters in any types, like any types of, you can, it can be an int, float, string, whatever you want. Next, we will be discussing about methods in class. Okay, so just as I wrote something just before, someone asked a doubt about if it has another module, right? So suppose I define another module, another class method, that is another function. Suppose print name, and one more thing, you will have to pass the self keyword every time you define a class method. So here also you can see the self is there, and here also self is there, because otherwise it will not be able to correctly point to the current object. So whenever we are defining the print name function, we will print the name of the current object. Then I will do self dot name. So how to access this? You just need to call it. How to call it? Student1 dot print name. So that means what will it do now? It will firstly Okay, one more thing. Self parameter. As you can see, here are 2 parameters given, but here it is taking 3 parameters. So actually, the student 1 is actually being passed to self. And here also, whenever we are mentioning the self but not giving anything in the parentheses, what will happen is we are actually passing student 1 into self. So whenever we do this student 1 dot print name, let's see what happens. Just a second, it's loading. Yeah, we are getting the output as ABC. So this is how we call another class method. So we do not call the init method, we are calling that a different function, that is print name. So how is it working? The interpreter is knowing that the print name belongs to student 1. The dot operator is doing the work for us. So print name function is being called for the object student 1. So now this is how the different class methods can be used. You can add your own user defined methods to work on various attributes. Next we have data manipulation. Suppose you want to change the name. So how will you do that? You will have to do student1 dot name. You just make sure that it's being changed. So I am just giving it a different name. Suppose I am changing the name from ABC to XYZ. So how am I doing it? I'm just telling the interpreter that give me student1 dot name. That means the name belonging to student1 should be assigned to XYZ. That means the name is changed. So now let's print it. Student1 dot print name. And when I do this, yeah, the first print name was giving me the output as ABC. Now it's changed to XYZ. So I hope this is clear. Hello, is it clear, everyone?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Shiny,
Yeah.
let's zoom in the screen a little bit. Okay, control
Okay.
plus.
Yeah, sure. One sec. Okay, so data manipulation, you can manipulate the data just like this. You can manipulate the values of all the attributes. Next we have is deleting attributes and objects. Okay, so let me create a class. Suppose again I'm taking the class as student, and inside it I will have the init function to initialize the objects whenever we create them. So def init, then the self parameter, then the name parameter. Okay, I need to change the name with the capital N, and then role. So inside the init function, I will do again self dot name equals to name, and self dot role equals to role. So yeah, our class is done. But suppose when we are creating an object, suppose S1 is an object. Let me create it with a name as Q and roll number as 1. And now I want to delete the attribute name. So I don't want it to have a name. Okay, I want to delete the name attribute. How to do that? I will do del. I will write the del keyword first, then I will do s1 dot name. What this will do is this will actually delete the name attribute of s1. So if I try to print it after deleting, it will give me an error. Yeah, student object has no attribute name, so that means it has been deleted. So okay, the attribute has been deleted. So this is how you can separately delete attributes if you want. And if you want to delete a whole object, then what will you do? You will have to just write del S1. Okay, if I try to print the roll number after deleting the whole object of S1, print S1 dot roll. Yeah, it says S1 is not defined. That means we have successfully deleted the whole object S1 and it's no longer there. So this is how we can delete attributes and objects. If anyone has any doubts, please feel free to ask it. I'm in the chat box, or you can unmute your mic. Anyone having any doubts in the deleting part? How to delete attributes and objects? Okay, so moving on. So with the pass statement, the next topic is the pass statement. So now, as you know, you already know about the pass statement, that it makes a dummy statement. That means it does nothing, right? Okay, someone. Del function empty memory. Yeah, exactly. No, actually it does not empties the memory, it just deletes it. Yeah. So the next thing is okay, Pawan got it. The next thing is the pass statement. So suppose you want to have a class, suppose A, and you don't want it to be written right now. You don't want to write the class body right now. So if you want to do that, you can just write the pass statement. In that way, it will not give any error. But however, if you write a class and without a class body, it will give you an error of end of file reached, I think. Yeah, unexpected EOF. So yeah, this will not work. So a dummy class has to be with a pass statement. So the next topic is of inheritance. So guys, do you know what inheritance is? Anyone? How can we use it in class? Do you have any ideas? Yeah, the pass statement is actually a dummy statement. It does nothing. So when we are in a class, like if you don't want to write the class body right now, then you just have to define the class and then write the pass statement. It will not do anything. It will just avoid the error of end of file reached. Yeah. Okay. So guys, anyone? Inheritance? Hello? Pawan, you want to try to say something?
No, I don't know anything about inheritance.
You can explain
Okay.
inheritance in your basic language also. Like
Yeah,
not
just
only in
like,
terms of code, you can just go ahead and define it
yeah,
like in a normal way. What is inheritance?
yeah, just what is in the word inheritance, even that.
Didi, can you just again repeat the past thing, that word?
Yeah, sure. So see, when we are defining a class, suppose just like I did before, na? Here we defined a class student and defined this init function and all. But suppose you don't want to do this right now. You want to come back later and do the thing that you like for your code. For right now, you don't want to do anything inside the class body. So for that, you just need to write a pass statement. That means you are defining a class A, but you are not doing anything right now inside the class body. So if you do not write the pass statement, it will give an error. Just yeah, if you define the class A and does not provide the class body, it will say unexpected EOF while parsing. So to avoid this error, you will just have to write the pass statement and it will just avoid that error, and you can come back anytime and complete your class body.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So let me explain inheritance. So basically, inheritance is nothing but inheriting the properties and attributes of one class to another in Python programming. So what we are going to do is we are going to inherit the attributes of one class into another. Just like that, we will have a parent class and a child class. So suppose I have a class here, college. Okay, so it will have a init function definitely to initialize its own objects. So in that I will give self, and suppose I want to have a parameter name as name of department. Is there any access specifiers? Pawan, I don't understand your question. Can you please elaborate? Can you unmute your mic? Oh yeah, I'll be coming to that. Access specifiers. Oh yes, I know what you're talking about right now. So you are saying if the class or the attributes can be public or private, right? Yeah, I'll be coming to that. Like I'll be covering that in the later end. Okay. Yeah, that's not a no problem. I'll be covering it later. Okay, so the init function here, the class call it init function. We have this, and I have given it with the name of department. This is the parameter name here. So I will be providing the name of the department when I will be creating an object. So def init, inside it I will do self dot name of department equals to name of dept. So yeah, just a second. Okay, so this is what I did. I just initialized the name of department. Now I'll be inheriting the class college into a department. Okay, so now how to inherit one class into another? You just need to mention the name of the parent class here. So just write college and then start defining your class body. So inside the class body of department, I will again have an init function. So as you might think that it may inherit this, but it's actually inherit this now. So it will actually have two init functions, one belonging to the parent class and one its personal init function to initialize the department classes object. And this init function is for initializing the object of college. Okay, so whenever we are doing this, we will give it a self parameter, then name of department. Then suppose I wanted to have the parameter name as strength. Okay, so inside the init function, now here comes the interesting part. We will actually have to, we cannot directly do self dot name of dept. Okay, so we cannot do I just need to change the case. Name of dept equals to name yeah, I just cannot directly do this, because if I do this, I will actually create another attribute with the same name in the parent class. So if I do this, this will actually make name of def. This will actually become a personal attribute and not an inherited attribute. Yeah, if I do this, we cannot, this line is actually will be the personal attribute of department and not the inherited attribute. So if you want to initiate, definitely it will give an ambiguity error So two same named attributes. So two same name attributes will definitely make a problem for the interpreter. So for that, we have two ways to initialize the college name of department. That means the name of department attribute inherited from the college class. So how we can do that? We can actually call the college init function. And inside it, we will pass the self parameter, because inside the college class, we will have to make sure that the interpreter knows which object we are pointing to, and then we will pass the value, that is the name of department. Yeah, so exactly, Pawan, college's name of department, we will be initializing that through this init function. Okay, we are actually calling this. That means we are actually calling this here. We are calling this function inside the department class. So now, as you know, I told you that there are two ways. So this is the first way of initializing the name of department. The second one is using the super function. So the super function is another function that you can easily use to initialize the parent class attribute. So you just don't have to pass the self parameter while using the super function. This is an advantage, I can say. So you just need to pass the value. Just pass the value and it will directly take the value from this and assign it to this. So as we are calling this, so how the super function works is actually it calls the init function from the super class or the parent class directly. So this is another way of doing it. These both work. The first way and this is the second way. Okay, so we can do any of one of them. Now, as we have already initialized the name of the department, we need to do one more thing. We have not initialized the strength. So what do you need? I need to do self self dot strength equals to strength. So I have initialized this now. So now I will create an object of the department class. Okay, so let me create it. Suppose I am creating the object as CSE. So I will call the department, and then inside it I will give the name as a string, and then I will give suppose 100. So this will actually make the name of the department as CSE and the strength as 100. So let's print both of them to see if it works. CSE dot name of dep and print CSE dot strength. Let's see what's the output. Yeah, we are getting the output as CSE and 100. So you can see the super function works fine. And if you want to do it with the college init function, let's try it that way too. Yeah, the same output. So you can use either one to initialize the attribute inherited from the college class. So is anyone having any doubt in this? If there are more than one parent class, then what super will call? Okay, so if there are more than one, yeah.
Yeah, please explain once, ma'am.
Hello, Falguni.
Yeah, explain correct, but.
Okay. Yeah, sure. So the main thing is there are two init functions, right? If there are two init functions, then what happens? One is belonging to the child class and one is belonging to the parent class. So whenever we are doing this, this child class init function will actually not directly, we cannot directly do self dot, just like I did self dot strength, we cannot do directly self dot name of department, because that will create a new name of department attribute. So we don't want that, because that will give an ambiguity error. So we need to initialize the name of department that is inherited from the class college. Okay, so as we have inherited it from the class college, so we need to call the init function of the college dot init and then pass the parameters as the value and the self parameter. So as you can see, I am calling the init function here from the college class, and I am calling it inside the init function of the department. So you can see this init function is being called inside the child class's init function. So that is the first way of doing it. One more way is calling the super function that will actually call the parent class, and that will actually call the parent class. Okay, so init function. So whenever I am doing super dot init, it will call the superior class and then initialize it with the name of dep. So someone asked, Pawan, I think, asked that if there are more than one parent class, then what super calls? Yeah, exactly. It has a case of that thing we have in C++, the virtual. I think we have something like that in Python, and we have to work that out ourselves. Is that okay? Can we call two classes in? Yeah, of course. You can just give a comma and just call another class, suppose A, B, C. Yeah, so that's the thing here in the class. So this is how inheritance basically works, and there is much more many more things in Python also, just like different types of levels of inheritance and all, like calling multiple inheritance, and that is definitely the documentation part. You all can read it, and it's all, this is the basic stuff I told you about. Now moving on, I think this is clear to everyone.
Yes,
Yes, yes.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
so the init function was complicated, I get it. So I hope it's all clear. Now next, moving on to the, this is done, the init function, child class and super function I told you about. The next interesting topic is, as Pawan asked me a few minutes before, that if we can have access specifiers or encapsulation, basically if we can hide the data. So this is what I was going to cover. So we are at that moment now. So suppose we have a class named again student, and I'm having the init function, then inside it the self parameter, then after that I will give it name and roll number again. Just let me do this stuff once again. Yeah, so this is done. So now suppose if you have a very long code and you want to hide your data, that I told you now, it can be easily manipulated. So suppose I am creating an object of student, and then inside it A is the name, 1 is the roll number. So if I want to change the name, I can easily do s1 dot name equals to suppose B. So this line, even only one line, can totally change the attribute data. So the data is definitely not secure. So how can we secure that? For that, we have to write 2 underscores in front of the attribute that you want to hide. That means that you want to encapsulate. So if you do this, then it cannot be directly modified. Okay, so if I run it, let's see if s1 dot name equals to B works or not. Okay, just a second. I think there is some. Okay, let me print this. Okay, I did not print it. That's why it will not show any error. So let me print s1 dot name directly. Yeah, it's saying that it doesn't have an attribute called name, but it does. And you might think that there is not two underscores here too. That's why it's giving the error, but it's not the thing. Let me run it again with two underscores. So yeah, again it says it does not have even that. So actually it's been hidden. That's why we cannot directly print s1 dot name. Okay, so if you want to access it, then you have to do it through a user defined class method. Suppose I want to again do the print name and then pass the self parameter, and then I have to do, so we are basically indirectly calling self.print from inside the class. You cannot access it directly from outside the class. That's why we are making a function that we can call from anywhere, and inside the function we are actually printing the name. Okay, so yeah, now as you know, this is a user defined function, so we need to call it to print the name. So I will do s1 dot print name and then run it. Okay, so you see I have made an error here. This is because here the name was privatized, right? It was encapsulated, but here I made it public, so it said that there is nothing with the same name. So that's why if I do it with double underscores now, let's see. Yeah, it gives out the output as A. That was the given name to S1. So this is how we can encapsulate the data with two underscores before the in front of the attribute name. So I hope data encapsulation is clear to everyone. Okay, Shiny, can you repeat? I disconnected. Okay, yeah, sure. I can repeat this. So this is what I did. I defined a class student and then I defined the init function. So inside the init function, rather than doing what I was doing for the last few cells of code, what I actually did was I mentioned, I wrote two underscores in front of the attribute name. Yeah, the double underscores actually makes it encapsulated. It denotes that this attribute is hidden and it cannot be directly accessed from anywhere outside the class. So this attribute cannot be accessed from outside the class. If I directly want to print s1 dot name, suppose, yeah, it will give me an error that doesn't have an attribute name. So our data is secure, but if we need to if we need to access the data, so we have to define a user defined function, a class method, that is, suppose like print name, and inside the function what we will do, we will indirectly print the name of the current object, that means self.name. So just remember, you need to put the double underscores in both the places, or else you will get an error, because then the attributes will not be same. So yeah, let me comment this out to rule out the error. Yeah, we are getting the correct output with the function. When we call the function print name for the object s1, we get the output as A. That was the given name to s1's name. So I hope it's clear. Is this clear, the data encapsulation part? Anyone? Type print s1 dot name. Okay, you are saying that if I do, yeah, exactly, that's what I showed them. You are saying if I did s1 dot doubles underscore, then it will print it, but it will actually not. It will say this is also not like it has no attribute with the double underscores. because it's hidden. It's not because it is named like that. It's not like characters. You might think that, but it's not, because it denotes privatization and not characters. Just like the init function. Yeah. Yeah, nice. Cool. This is cool. I also like the data encapsulation because you can definitely be more secure with your data and it cannot be easily manipulated. This is all right, I guess. Let me just correct this. Yes, and the next topic we have with us is abstract classes and concrete classes. So, do you have any ideas about what are abstract classes? If anyone wants to speak up. Okay, so abstract classes are actually template classes. So just like we have templates for drawings and posters, we have the frames ready, we have everything ready with us. We just build up on it, right? We build up something, we add elements to it, colors to it. Just like that, abstract classes are actually template classes which are inherited into other classes, and in those classes we actually add stuff, add elements. So just like that, let me create a class called animals. Okay, so before using abstract classes, inbuilt, no, not inbuilt classes, actually they are user defined classes, but they are actually template classes. They are the templates for building up other classes when we inherit these. So if I inherit the class animals into another class, we can actually reuse the template of the class animals. So it's just like the template concept. This is the most used concept of like OOP, because we are building upon stuff uh, and we are creating a template and building up on this template. So let me tell you, we have to import some libraries. So we will be talking about it more tomorrow. For now, you just need to import this from ABC. Import ABC abstract method. Yeah. And inside the class, we have to define a user defined function. So I will not be creating. Okay, one more thing. Abstract class do not have objects, so you don't need an init function. Abstract classes do not have any objects. Okay. So suppose I create a user defined function, suppose sound. Okay. This is a class method named sound, and I will pass the self parameter here. Inside this function, inside this class method sound, what will I do? I will do self dot okay, I will actually print something. Suppose okay, first of all, this is a abstract class, right? So we do not need to do anything here. I was doing the wrong thing. So here actually the abstract class have incomplete bodies. So that means you just have to provide the template. You will actually redefine this when you inherit the class animals. So suppose I have to inherit this class animals into a class called, suppose, birds. Okay. So class birds will inherit from animals. Now we will actually inherit this function and we will actually redefine this function to as a template to do something. So when I created the class birds, I have to redefine the function sound, and then I again pass the self parameter. Now as this was a dummy statement, that means it did nothing. So now I will redefine it as, suppose I will print something like birds chirp or something, the sound they produce. Yeah, so animals class was an abstract class, but there is one thing missing here. What is that thing? You have to place a constructor to make this sound, this function sound, you have to write this. Okay, you have to write @abstract method to make this method an abstract method. So this is mandatory to create a abstract class. So you will say, how is animals different from any normal class? It can also act like a normal parent class, but it's not, because an abstract class is one which has abstract methods. So as this sound method is an abstract method using this constructor, so this animal class becomes an abstract class, and it's incomplete and it cannot have any objects. So yeah, we are making it an abstract class using this thing, @abstract method. So now, as I inherited animals into the class birds, what is it doing now? We have redefined it and we are printing it. So now, as this is actually a concrete class, the class birds is actually a concrete class. Concrete class are just opposite of abstract classes. They have objects, they have complete bodies. The class body is totally defined. So that's why we have totally defined the sound function. So now we will call it. Okay, I'm creating a object called bird1, and then birds. This will be a class. Okay, this is the class birds and this is the object, that is bird1. So suppose I need to call it bird1 dot sound. So I'm just calling it just like a regular function for the object bird1. Let's see what's the output. Yeah, birds chirp. So exactly in that way we can build on a specific template according to our needs. Suppose you want to have a basic defined template for various classes, then you can inherit the animals class into different categories of animals and print their sounds or something. Just like that, I have just taken a simple example. You can use it for bigger codes. So this was all I was talking. This was all I had planned to talk about today. So I hope it's clear to everyone. Is anyone having any doubt? Please feel free to ask. I will really like to answer your questions. Do you have any doubts? Hello, anyone having any doubts?
Not yet.
Yeah, Shishti, do you have any doubts? Okay,
No,
sure.
no, I said not yet.
Okay. Okay, yeah, Pavan has one doubt. I have only one doubt into okay, one doubt. Okay, I have only doubt into it today's session. Okay. Okay, I got it. So which part or is more doubtful to you? Can you please tell me? I will really like to explain. Inheritance. Okay, yeah, sure. I'll just revise the code to you. ओके सो मैं हिंदी में बोल रही हूँ. तो कॉलेज एक क्लास है यहाँ पे, इसका खुद का एक इनिट फंक्शन है. ओके और यहाँ पे एक और क्लास है डिपार्टमेंट, जिसमें कॉलेज है, लाइक उसको मैंने इनहेरिट कर लिया. तो इसका मतलब क्या है? इसका बेसिक मतलब या बोथ इनिट आर एक्चुअली डिफरेंट. दैट्स व्हाट आई वाज सेइंग. बोथ द इनिट्स आर एक्चुअली डिफरेंट. सो जो नीचे इनिट है ना, दिस init function belongs to the department, to the class department, and this init function belongs to the class college. These both inits are different. So init function actually करता क्या है? Init function actually constructed है ना. So whenever we are calling the init function, so init function तभी सिर्फ like call होगा जब हम लोग object create करेंगे. But as you can see, college class का मतलब इस class का we have not created any object anywhere in the program. So whenever we are coding all of this, we have not created any object of the class college. So that's why this init function was not called once. Okay. So now when I say that it's inheriting the college classes properties, the department is actually inheriting name of department, this attribute. So when I told you that we cannot do self dot name of department, this thing, and then this was because if we do it ना, what will happen, यहाँ पे एक ऑलरेडी नेम ऑफ डिपार्टमेंट है जो इसने इनहेरिट कर लिया, और यहाँ पे हम लोग एक और एट्रीब्यूट ऐड कर रहे हैं. सो इफ I call it outside the class, it might give an ambiguity error. मतलब कुछ problem हो सकता है because both have the same name. So for that, and because we already have one, why would we need two name of the departments, right? So we should not do this. We just have to access the college classes name of the department. So this is what I was talking about. We are not including any new name of department. We are just calling the init function because अभी तक ये call नहीं हुआ है कहीं पे भी, तो हम लोग को init function को call करना है. So how can we do that? College.init, then self name of department. So this is by this we were actually calling the init function, and in that init function we pass the self pointer, that means the current pointer. This CSC was the object, so self was pointing to CSC. So now here also as the init function was now called, so we gave self dot name of depth equals to name of depth. So this is what happened. So exactly यही हुआ कि हम लोग जब इसको कॉल कर रहे हैं तो यहाँ पे जो कॉल हुआ ना, so what we are passing CSE. So self is also having the the self is also having the value of CSE because we are calling it with the self of this. So all these self have the value CSE because that is the current object. So after that, the final statement that is being executed is self dot name of depth. So that means what? CSE's name of depth becomes this string. Whatever is inside this string, it is assigned to this. So is it clear now what I was saying? How can we initialize the attribute inherited from college class? Okay, yeah. Is anyone having anything else anywhere? Any doubts? Anything else? If you want to ask anything, please do. Okay, I guess there are no more doubts now. If you're having, please feel free to share it. I will really like to get back to you then. So Deep and Falguni, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, there are no doubts. So should we stop the session?
Guys, if you have any doubt, ask, or if possible, if you have any doubt from the earlier sessions too, you can ask that also. Just feel free to ask.
If you have any doubts, please feel free to ask. You can post your doubts in the chat also.
If you are not comfortable on mic, you can just ask on the chat box and we are here to help you.
Acha Didi, I want to ask that after the end of this Python bootcamp, like, can you share a PDF of all these syntaxes, because it's quite difficult to like note down all of them. Like I've missed many in middle.
You mean the codes, right?
Yeah. Within the code, the syntax is used.
Okay, the syntax I used, right?
Like
I will be sharing
all the syntaxes. Like in middle, I've missed many, so it was quite difficult for me to show that.
Hello.
Yeah.
Srishti, if you are following the WhatsApp group, we are just posting every day the link, right? GitHub, where the contents are uploaded, and after this bootcamp, we will try to add some more contents. Okay, so you can get that. I've also shared about GitHub account, like how to create it, so that you can manage it in your local account. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I will just share the codes and the PPT in the Slack group, WhatsApp group, and wherever you guys are present. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Welcome. Okay, so I think there are no more doubts. So yeah, thank you guys for joining in. I hope you all enjoyed and learned a bit more about classes. It was really fun to have you all here.